Hello, and welcome back to the neighborhood. My name is Dylan, and today we'll be talking about Lightfall, the latest expansion for Destiny 2. Recently, we released a buyer's guide breaking down all of the various expansions for Destiny 2 and my personal recommendations on what someone just getting into the game should buy. Now that I've had a couple of weeks to play the new expansion, I wanted to do a deeper dive into my thoughts and whether that changes my recommendations. The short answer is that I still think the best place for a newcomer to start is with the most recent expansion. However, that doesn't mean I think the expansion is perfect. Let's break it down. Lightfall is the beginning of the end of a narrative that Bungie has been building to for years. Think of it like the Infinity War, with the Final Shape expansion scheduled for 2024 being Endgame. The Witness and the Black Fleet have finally attacked Earth and the Traveler. If you're concerned about spoilers, there will be some minor ones from here on out, so skip to here if you want to avoid them. But honestly, if you want to follow the story, jumping in and playing this campaign won't really help you a ton, as so much of the narrative has come from seasonal storylines, vaulted campaigns, and collectible lore books. You're better off watching a YouTube video to break it down, as following anything more than the most basic story of Lightfall will be tough. Anyway, your Guardian follows Osiris to Neptune, where an artifact known as the Veil is supposed to be located. There, they discover a hidden human civilization protected by two superhero-like beings called Cloudstriders. The rest of the inhabitants have retreated into virtual reality because the Witness's forces have followed you to Neptune in an attempt to claim the Veil for themselves. Over the course of the campaign, you discover a new power called Strand that allows you to unravel your enemies and swing around like Spider-Man. You use the powers to chase down a device known as the Radial Mast, which the enemies are attempting to link to the Veil. Though you are able to destroy it thanks to a heroic sacrifice, apparently the Witness didn't actually need it to complete their objective and launches an attack on the Veil itself. Though you defeat the Witness's disciple and protect the Veil, the Witness uses a connection to your ghost in order to link to the Veil anyway, opening a trippy portal into the Traveler and maybe also killing the Traveler? If you couldn't tell by now, the story relies on a lot of knowledge of the previous convoluted narrative, much of which is not easily accessible. Throughout the campaign, not a lot is really explained. You're essentially chasing a MacGuffin, but the consequences of not attaining it are never clarified, making it feel somewhat hollow. As the story progresses through the seasonal missions, raid, and future dungeons, I'm sure more will be revealed and many lingering questions will start to get answered, but if you're just playing through the campaign and side missions, it can be disappointing, especially since the Witch Queen had a much more satisfying, if still convoluted, story. Destiny 2, in my opinion, is one of the best feeling first-person shooters out there. This remains true here. At a baseline level, the gameplay is still excellent. I did want to cover some of the changes that have come with Lightfall. Now bear in mind that this video is being made in March of 2023, so it's likely that some of the following will change over the next year and beyond. The biggest addition is a new subclass called Strand. It plays a bit differently than many of the other subclasses, being more melee focused and excelling at locking down enemies so you can kill them safely. It also comes with a grapple, allowing you to swing around the environment, though it takes some getting used to so you don't swing yourself into a wall and fall to your death. Overall, I've been having fun with the new subclass and look forward to seeing what crazy shenanigans people are able to come up with for it. That said, some of the builds rely pretty heavily on the new exotic armors that can be challenging to obtain, which brings me to my next point, the difficulty changes. With the release of Lightfall, Bungie wanted to increase the challenge of the game. Now, I'm all for more challenging options for games, but I've always maintained that there should be options for people that either cannot play those more challenging levels or just don't want to. For players that have been here for a while, have a lot of the exotics, and know how to make a coherent build, the challenge can be mitigated and even pretty fun. But for the new people who have heard the hype and finally decided to give it a try, it can be a frustrating mess. Basic enemies can feel like bullet sponges, The amount of enemies that spawn can sometimes feel ridiculous, and worst of all, it creates a cycle where they feel they need a coherent build and certain exotics to have fun, but cannot complete the activities to get those items because they don't have a coherent build and the right exotics. Now, some of this is due to some weird engine bugs that tie some of the damage you're taking to your frame rate, but a lot of this comes from the game locking many of the rewards behind activities that are near impossible to complete without those rewards. I'm looking at you, Legend Lost Sectors. Now, if you're the type of Destiny player that's typing out a comment about how people need to get good, this is a skill issue, or that you completed the hardest content in the game wearing blue armor and wielding the starting gun, I hope you're having fun and enjoying this new challenging content. I'm genuinely happy that you have that. All I'm saying is that I would prefer people with less skill, time, or patience to also have as much fun as you're having and have the option to earn rewards more easily. I'm not saying invalidate the challenging activities. Let those have better drop rates, better stat rolls, or maybe even unique armor decorations. But locking content behind difficulty always feels bad for the majority of the players. Bungie has also added in a new Guardian rank system that does a much better job at giving new players some guidance towards learning how to play the game, rather than their old method of just throwing you into everything with barely any tutorials. So that's a positive. Unfortunately, since it resets every season and the upper ranks requirements get kind of ridiculous, I feel like they missed a little bit with the system for the more hardcore players. The armor mod system has been overhauled, and loadout options that don't require you to use a third-party site have finally been added. This is fantastic and I think has simplified the daunting armor modding system from the past, and overall is a win. That said, you're still going to probably be using Destiny Item Manager or D2 Armor Picker to manage all of your gear if you stick with the game long enough to care about making loadouts for higher difficulty content. There have been a ton of other tweaks to the game with the intention of increasing the overall quality of life, and this is not meant to be an exhaustive list, but I think the majority of things that have changed or have been added have been great. For me personally, Destiny 2 is an S-tier game. The Lightfall expansion, however, I would give a B. The gameplay is still where this game shines, and using Strand is a ton of fun, and seeing all the shenanigans creative people are doing with it has been excellent. The difficulty changes, frustrating new player experience, and some of the bugs at the time of recording drag the gameplay down a little bit, unfortunately. The story is disappointing, and feels like a filler episode. The MacGuffins you're chasing are never explained, and the stakes are never established. The consequences of the campaign are also never really shown or expanded on. Sure, the next year will likely fill in the details, but the Witch Queen had a satisfying story right out of the box. Overall, I still think the gameplay is fantastic, but the story and some of the decisions Bungie has made drag down a score that could have been much higher. What about you? What did you think of Lightfall? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, leave us a like and let us know. Subscribe to see our new videos when they go live. That's all from me, so I'll leave you with a reminder to stay friendly, gamers.